What is good, everybody? We have a reaction video for some Naruto vibes, and this one's gonna be pretty long. It's gonna be decently long, so just giving you guys a heads up. And the video will probably come out to maybe an hour at most, or a little bit longer. But it's gonna be a long video, and the video title is "You Know Nothing About Itachi." These videos actually really appeal to me the most because he basically tries to give you as much information as possible about the character. And the YouTube channels that I've kind of seen that do a really good job, like Swag, Seth, Naruto Explained, and then aka NCHAMMER23. And if you really want all the fucking juicy details in the lore and everything, either check him out, NCHAMMER23, or check out your boy Naruto Explained. I feel like they do a very, very good job telling everything about the character and what they can do. And a lot of people really are ignorant when it comes to Itachi. You know, like, there's a lot of people that really, like, either downplay the guy or ignorant, or overall really just don't understand his backstory or legendary reputation as a ninja from the moment he was a little fucking kid. And this guy does an incredible job with Naruto content, period. I know he's going to do him justice. I'm curious to see what he has to say, what he's going to show. Naruto Explained also has good videos, even though I've already seen that, so that's why I'm not really doing that as a reaction. So we're going to check him out because I have not seen his videos yet. And we're just going to kind of go into it, analyze it, go from there, and that'll be that. So there probably won't be a lot of pauses because most of this information, anything he's going to say is going to be either very true, you know, and very, like, you know, helpful and interesting. So, you know, there'll be pauses, but, you know, it's going to be more of a straightforward video of me kind of just being like, yeah, you know, absolutely. So we're going to get into it. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's do it.
Come to my attention from numerous comments and actually a couple of emails and messages that I talk about Itachi, and more specifically the sword of Totsuka and his Yara Mira, a lot. Sorry, my Boston accent slipped out on mirror there. That was weird. Saw a Dunkin's while driving through LA today, and apparently I relapsed. But because I talk about these things so much, people have asked me, how did he get these items on his Susanoo? How did he get these abilities in the first place? And I realized that Itachi is actually a pretty misunderstood character. But before we get to talk—
Yes, he is. Thank you. Once again, somebody else saying it too. It's very true, guys. Like I said, it's really fucking true, and it's kind of sad. He's a very misunderstood character, and a lot of people really actually underestimate the guy or disrespect him. It's so fucking weird. I don't understand it. I don't know why, but yeah. And then basically where it goes, it's like everybody goes in like extreme and incredible measures for like Obito Uchiha or Madara, but when it comes to Itachi, everybody just shits on him. It's like, huh? You know, like, you guys good? So
talking about the guy who popularized black fingernail paint on men. Guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. We know a good amount about his life and how he got certain abilities and what he did and where he was during certain times where the anime was going on and he was off doing other things. We learned this from light novels like his two, Itachi Shinden, Book of Dark Night and Book of Bright Light, and also from data books and a little bit of manga deep diving. So I figured it would probably be appropriate if we cover what is one of the most interesting characters in the entirety of the show in a way that we just covered the legendary Sani. So without further ado, I give to you the life of Itachi. So let's start these videos the way that we always start these videos and answer the easy questions. Who is Itachi? He's the older brother to Sasuke, the son to Fugaku and Minato, one of the youngest ever Anbu captains, an actual hero to the Leaf, who turned his back on his clan in order to protect the Leaf from what could have been the bloodiest conflict in its history. He is widely beloved by the Naruto fan base and yet horribly misunderstood. So in order to make it easier for you to understand him, we're gonna start at the start. I already said earlier, Shisui was born to Fugaku Uchiha and Mikoto Uchiha. Mikoto, who is a high-level Jonin Sharingan user, and Fugaku, who is the current head of the Uchiha clan. And Fugaku was above a high-level Jonin. He was called Fugaku of the Wicked Eye. And just like Minato, he had a run on site order from enemy nations. In fact, he was—
yeah, Fugaku is no fucking joke. He had the same legendary reputation as Minato. He was even another potential candidate for the 4th Hokage. Like, he was crazy powerful, meaning like on par and on the same level as Minato Namikaze. That's no fucking joke. And you're talking about a guy that has Mangekyo Sharingan, you name it. Like, that's pretty fucking crazy. It means, so meaning that this guy could also be able to fight against Obito Uchiha, you know, Itachi, and so on and so forth, etc. So, pretty fucking cool.
so powerful and so essential during the Third Great Ninja War that he was considered to be a reasonable choice for the fourth Hokage, even though the Uchiha were segregated to an outside part of the city where they could gain no prominence politically. But since we're talking about the Third Great Ninja War, let's talk about the Third Great Ninja War. It is essentially the first thing Itachi could ever remember. Essentially, the Leaf's biggest enemy in the Third Great Shinobi World War was the Hidden Cloud. The Hidden Cloud infiltrated the Land of Fire and skirmishes started on the border. And for a while, the Hidden Cloud actually started to march into the Land of Fire, starting to take over area. And because of this, multiple of the battlefields for the Third Great Shinobi World War were very close to Konoha. So Fugaku, like I said, the then current head of the Uchiha clan, decided to use this as a lesson for Itachi. See, Fugaku was in the war. He was earning his reputation as Wicked Eye Fugaku. But after the fights were over, he would take Itachi to the battlefields. And he would show Itachi the mounds of corpses, but not for the reason you would expect. You would assume that Fugaku would show his child this to be like, war is hell, and you should try your hardest to avoid it. But yeah, no, Fugaku was bringing Itachi to the battlefields to show him that is a shinobi's role in life, to fight, kill, and die. But that's actually not what Itachi takes from him.
It's fucking brutal though. It's so hardcore and dark and brutal. Like Itachi's like what, 4 years old at this point, and this motherfucker is going into a goddamn war. No headband, no nothing. And he even killed a fucking ninja there as well. Like, and this man is just a goat as a kid, fucking with like crazy high level ninja. And which is insane, because if he's this young and able to compete against high level elite ninja, imagine as he gets older and and he's getting stronger and shit. And then the Mangekyo shot, like it's crazy, So like just insane. And overall, like fucking just a baffling concept. Like I can never even imagine being in Itachi's shoes, or ever thinking me to be as a father to bring like my 4 or 5 year old son to fucking war. Like, Jesus Christ.
He's the mounds of corpses, and he does say he will get stronger. He actually promises to become the strongest person on Earth, but not to fight, kill, and die. Itachi wants to become the strongest person on Earth to eliminate conflict. And a few weeks later, when the war ends and the third steps down, because he's now been the Hokage through the second and the Third Great Ninja Wars, and that's a lot of blood to have on your hands, and nobody says that Fugaku should be the fourth Hokage, Itachi starts to realize the bubbling underbelly of hate that is growing in the Uchiha clan. And he's reminded of the ill omen and the bad feeling he felt on the battlefield. But this doesn't stop Itachi. He still has a resolute feeling that he needs to become the strongest person on Earth. So when you freshen your breath with scope,
yeah, we don't need that. We good.
War ends, he starts training. And this fire to get stronger only gets stronger once Mikoto delivers Itachi's little brother Sasuke. Because now, not only does Itachi want to get stronger to eliminate conflict, he wants to make a world where his little
something happened to his nose.
Peacefully.
And on his nose, he has like a little mark.
He starts to train, he gets noticed by a genin a few years older than Shisui, and him and Shisui become almost like brothers who train together and learn techniques from each other. And ironically, these techniques needed to be used by Itachi much sooner than he had realized, because I think you guys know what happens a couple months after Sasuke is born. Naruto is born. And I think we know what happens when Naruto is born. The Nine Tails attacks. But here's something that the anime and the manga don't show you. Mikoto and Sasuke are in the Uchiha compound while the Nine Tails is attacking, but a piece of debris flies over and destroys the building, and a piece of debris starts to fall towards Sasuke and Mikoto. Mikoto doesn't see it coming, but Itachi flies to their rescue and destroys the piece of debris and saves Sasuke and Mikoto.
Which is really fucking insane, because you're talking about Itachi at 5 years old, okay, and he has enough chakra control and ability to basically do what Tsunade and Sakura can do, and channel chakra in his fucking fist and punch a big ass rock that was hurled by the Nine Tails and save his mother, who is a Jonin, remind you. That is fucking insane.
Years old, he was able to blitz over to a piece of debris and save a high-level Jonin and Sasuke. But unfortunately, this night would actually be awful for both Itachi and his clan, because even though Fugaku mobilized all of the Uchiha clan in order to fight Kurama, in order to maybe possibly put him under a genjutsu to quell his anger, the upper brass of Konoha looks at them and goes,
Please go patrol our borders in case somebody comes to attack us.
essentially telling the Uchiha to stay as far away from Kurama as possible because we believe you're the ones who did this. And then after the fight with Kurama is over, they're uprooted and sent to an outskirt part of the village near the Naka Shrine, where the Uchiha clan originated from, to live. And this is where we see the Uchiha living during the anime and the manga. And since the Uchihas weren't the people who made Kurama attack the Leaf Village, this created a lot of anger in the clan. And Itachi saw this. And at the age of 5, he watched them, his entire clan, his father, his mother, with disappointment that they couldn't separate their own personal feelings from what was good for Konoha. A 5-year-old had the emotional intelligence to realize that your personal feelings are different from what benefits our entire village.
Yeah, he was able to kind of analyze reality in a whole bigger spectrum. And the fact that he could do that as a 5-year-old while these grown-ass adults are bickering and bitching and being immature and yada yada, the whole fucking 9 yards. Don't get me wrong. It's not okay for any form or element of discrimination, but at the same time, you have to handle that in a certain way. You can't just act or be impulsive or emotional, you know what I mean, and then initiate like worse conflict or something that is just going to make things not better. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do it in a manner that it's going to be peaceful, beneficial for both sides, and you can be able to get a resolution and get any clarifications or clarity. This way everyone is happy and is okay. You know what I mean? But if you're over here just like, nah, fuck that, it's our way or the highway, and yada yada, and just having very hostile and negative intentions to the point where you're going to overcomplicate it and just make it very, you know, contentious and very rough and very, you know, like a lot of bad energy in the air, and you're just asking for more problems. And when it comes really to the bigger picture of Konoha itself, it's not okay. And Tachi could realize that, but nobody else could. You know what I mean? Like,
and then Itachi turns 6 and he joins the Ninja Academy. Naturally, he's better than everyone, and he's so good that everyone's intimidated by him, and nobody makes an effort to talk to him, except Izumi Uchiha. But
yeah,
of course,
his little bae.
Itachi only wants to train with Shisui and spend time with Sasuke, so he's completely indifferent to Izumi's entire existence. But this doesn't off-put Izumi, and she actually finds it kind of cute. So she continues to be nice to him, and one day, when Itachi's skills have drawn the ire of older students in the Ninja Academy, she comes to his defense. So he kind of sees this as like, okay, maybe I should start being nice to this girl, and also the fact that she had already awakened her Sharingan made him feel more comfortable around her. Because say what you will about Izumi, yes, when she activated her Sharingan, she immediately fainted right after she was done, but she was also one of the youngest people ever to activate it, so maybe she just wasn't ready. It takes Itachi 4 months to pass through the Ninja Academy. The faculty looked at him and they're like, there's nothing else we can teach you. 4 months. He passed and was a genin at the age of 6. Also, it's kind of implied that they passed him because they needed new ninja because of how many died after the Nine Tails attack. So once again, I'll say it, Konoha may not be the good guys. But as he was passing as valedictorian of his class, obviously, he was kind of confused by the presence of somebody, and that somebody was Danzo. Danzo came up to Itachi after he had gotten all congratulated by his family and gave him a sort of riddle. Danzo tells him there's 10 men, 9 of them are healthy, and 1 of them has an infectious disease, and he's about to die. You cannot save him. Danzo asks, what do you do with this 10th man? And Itachi says, I would kill him so he doesn't affect the other 9 people. And
I love ads.
And Danzo liked that answer a lot, and then he just left.
So that's actually interesting that he brought that up, which is a lot of one thing that a lot of people do not know as well. Swag Kage even had a moment about that, to really bringing that up for Itachi. And what a lot of people don't understand and know is the fact that, like, that's literally the question and scenario that Itachi is given, and he just instantaneously just, oh yeah, I would do that, you know? And Danzo's like, yes, you know, because the guy's fucking cuckoo, dark, and cold, and he's a piece of shit, okay? So overall, he was doing that to make sure that Itachi wasn't the type of person like either Naruto or Obito or other characters that have a good heart and wouldn't want to do that and never give up and try to find a way to say whatever, you know. So he's trying to make sure he wasn't to that extent with that type of mentality, because otherwise that could be, you know, come on, you guys don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a harsh reality of it. So, and overall, like, that was the whole thing with that. But it just really went to go to show that Itachi, at any point, when it really comes to it, he will take any measure desired to initiate and establish peace or safety for Konoha.
7, Itachi is introduced to his team, Team 2. He's teamed up with Tenma Izumo and Shinko Inari, and a man named Yuki Minazari is their Jonin, their captain. Tenma hates him because he's so talented, and Shinko tries to defend him because she's really nice, and this only makes Tenma angrier. So they get into a fight, Itachi storms off and goes back to the Uchiha compound, where he bumps into Izumi. Now that Itachi is officially a ninja, he's actually been invited to the Uchiha's secret meetings, and this is inevitably what him and Izumi start talking about. But Itachi doesn't want to be a snitch, so he then inevitably goes silent, and they walk the rest of the way in silence. Itachi's first mission is then kind of the next thing that we can talk about, and it starts kind of in a panic. Essentially, the Hyuga affair happens. Nick, what's the Hyuga affair? Great question. I just did the history of the entire Hyuga clan. If you want to know what the Hyuga affair is, please click that video and watch it. But long story short, Hinata has been kidnapped by the Hidden Cloud, and here is in the upper brass of Konoha mobilized the entirety of their teams to get ready for Hidden Cloud hostiles invading Konoha. It's at this point revealed that there's a spy from the Hidden Cloud in Konoha, and it becomes Team 2's first mission to capture this spy. They find the spy with relative ease because Itachi is a genius, and Tenma rushes in to try and prove his power over Itachi. But naturally, being an 8-year-old genin with no special abilities, he almost gets killed by the full-grown man. Itachi swoops in, saves him, and defeats the spy. And then, boom, they're best friends. Smash cut a year forward, Itachi has done nothing more important than the spy mission. And because Tenma and Shinko aren't necessarily anywhere close as powerful as Itachi, they haven't been signed up for the Chunin exams yet. I mean, Itachi's 8 and he's in a rush to be a Chunin. But because Itachi has made their team so prominent and so effective, they do get a rather important mission. Team 2 gets assigned to escort the Fire Daimyo, aka the Fire Feudal Lord, through the Land of Fire. But here's the thing. With the Fire Daimyo, there's gonna be some of his 12 pillars there protecting him as well. And also the Anbu would be following that group to make sure that nothing goes wrong. So Team 2...
Kakashi was also part of that group as well. Just letting you guys know. I believe I know what incident he's about to talk about.
Being there is largely symbolic. And when they're halfway between the Fire Lord Daimyo's residence and Konoha, they see a masked man walking towards them, kind of in a bouncy way, singing. A masked bouncy man. Who do you think it is? It's Toby, aka Obito. But here's the thing, because he's so nonchalant and happy, nobody's on guard as he approaches them. And that's why he's able to catch everybody under Genjutsu when he gets close. Well, that is everybody but Itachi.
Which is really insane, because what a lot of people really forget in Naruto is that as an Uchiha, you don't have to initiate eye contact or look around the eyes to do Genjutsu. If you're have strong enough chakra and very skilled enough in everything, you can apply as a Genjutsu just with hand signs or whatever and put everybody in Genjutsu. It's not fucking hard. And if you have the Sharingan, you can even amplify that Genjutsu. You know what I mean? So like, Obito just pulls up, puts everybody in Genjutsu, and Itachi's the only one that doesn't get affected by it, which is fucking insane.
The 12 pillars, the Anbu, Team 2, all snapped into Genjutsu immediately. But what Obito didn't take into account is that Tenma's specialty was Genjutsu, and Tenma is able to break himself out of this Genjutsu, which is crazy when you consider the fact that Obito put Yagura, a Mizukage, under a Genjutsu so powerful that he didn't notice it for years. Tenma then uses this opportunity when he snaps out of
an insane Genjutsu feat for Obito. And mind you, I believe he was also a perfect Jinjutiki
Jutsu to rush after Toby and try to attack him. But he faces right through him, and Toby kills him just immediately. But remember what I said about Itachi? He never got caught in the Genjutsu because he looked away before it could catch him, because he was the only person on guard, but he didn't rush like Tenma did. And Toby actually compliments him on this for not being reckless. But as Itachi now sees the person who he had reconciled with and becomes friends with Tenma bleeding out on the ground, he realizes he has to attack Toby, who's already reassured him that he only wants the Fire Lord. What is this, Avatar: The Last Airbender? I mean, it just kind of is the Fire Lord, but the Fire Daimyo. So Itachi attacks him, but just like Tenma, he phases through them. And as Obito is going to kill Itachi, he senses something. And that...
We give you confidence.
Fuck you, Ad.
And that's Kakashi. Because yes, Kakashi had been one of the Anbu members assigned to keeping an eye over the diamond.
I'm glad he states that.
Yeah. So before he can deliver the final blow on Itachi and end this video very early, he runs away because Kakashi has not only broken himself out of Genjutsu, he's broken all the other Anbu members. And while Itachi had survived, he didn't come out unscathed. Remember, Itachi's entire life goal was to eliminate conflict, and he had just watched one of his closest friends die in front of him. In fact, when they returned to the Leaf, Shinko, his other teammate, realized that being a shinobi was not cut out for her, and she leaves. She stops being a shinobi.
And see, I'm in the making of an Obito Uchiha video, guys, and the title of that video is literally going to be Obito Uchiha Pisses Me Off, because, you know, you have all these people like wanking him and saying, oh, how powerful and yada yada. Or better yet, you have people that even say he's invincible and that he could be able to beat Pain and Itachi and everybody else and he's just a goat and yada yada yada. But there is so much fucking nonsense with the character that just pisses me off. Like, the character is so lazy. The character had many, many opportunities just to end the story of Naruto, period. Like, there were so many fucking things that actually really annoyed me with the character of Obito. Like, mind you, the concept of him in the story was amazing, and he's a badass character, period. An incredible villain writing. But when it comes to, like, certain key moments and points in Naruto, like, there's even a point where Obito's just chilling on the fucking rock in the Valley of the End, not doing anything. It's like, go fucking do something. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much with the character that really pissed me off. And, like, to the point where he could, at any point in moment, had made dents and caused problems and just sped up the process of doing the plan of Infinite Tsukiyomi. And he just never did. You know what I mean? And unless I'm missing some fucking elaboration or explanation of that, you know, from Kishimoto or whatever or something, you know what I mean? And there was never really any excuse until Itachi basically talked with the guy and said, hey, Hidden Leaf is off limits and Sasuke Uchiha. You know what I mean? And that was like the main reason why he wasn't really doing shit. And then as things continued to progress, once Itachi died, then he started intervening and actually doing shit that would affect the Hidden Leaf. So, like, you know, overall, like, basically from where I'm getting at, you know, Obito Uchiha pissed me the fuck off. Like, very annoying character. One prime example as this moment, like, what the fuck was he doing? Like, you really gonna tell me that the Anbu could beat Obito? The Anbu or Kakashi at that point? Hell fucking no. You know what I mean? Like, Kakashi didn't even have MS at that point. The Sharingan took a bigger toll on him. He wasn't even nowhere near the extent he was in fucking part 1. You know what I mean? You know, and that version wasn't even near the stunning level. Like, you're talking about a guy that's literally Minato level in power that can fight against Minato, aka the fucking 4th Hokage, alright? Trained by Madara. Zetsu sells infinite Mangekyo Sharingan, you know, you name it. Wood style release, all that shit. And he's gonna run away from fucking Anbu? From a Fire Lord? Are you kidding me? You know, like, nah. It's fucking stupid. So all I get from that is either he was a bitch and either just or really downplayed himself that he thought he just couldn't do it, or 2, he thought it just wasn't worth the risk and would kind of fuck things over or whatever for some reason, I don't know, or 3, okay, that he could potentially be killed by the Anbu and all the ninja there. Okay, and the only thing I'll say on that, I don't believe Obito would have lost if he went about fighting and killing everybody there. You know, I think he actually would have pulled a W, but could it have been possible for him to maybe lose? I don't know, because if I'm being really honest with you guys, when Obito fought against fucking Danzo's men, he didn't just immediately instantly blitz them. He was actually having to fight, he struggled a little bit against them, you know, kind of analyze their abilities, and then was able to figure out a way to work around them and had to injure himself in order to beat both of them. So if you're talking about, like, the most powerful Anbu that are guarding the Fire Lord, along with Kakashi there and Itachi, you know what I mean? There was a lot of pressure and there was a lot of, you know, conflict there. You know what I mean? So, you know, maybe he would have probably took an L or got very injured or whatever, or it exposed him too much, you know? So overall, all I will say, like I said, I'm just kind of keeping an open mind on that. If I were to really give my answer, it's more of just like very shit writing in my opinion, because if it really came down to it, I do believe Obito would have been able to deal with all of them. That's just me. You know what I mean? But regardless, we'll move on. This video is not about Obito. It's about Itachi, so let's get into it. I just want to say something because that point really set me off. And there's a lot more with Obito.
And Itachi's given a couple of days off to deal with the grief. And in these couple of days, he tortures himself because he is trained for 3 years of his life to be as strong as possible, and he wasn't able to save Tenma. And it's actually at this point that he awakens his Sharingan. But this is also torturous to him because the Sharingan is the same eye that he had seen in Tobi's face. So every time he saw his own Sharingan, he was brought back to the time when he couldn't save his friend. And when
that's fucked. That's so like traumatizing and triggering. Like just imagine that. That's fucking brutal.
break is over, he's given 2 new fresh teammates, Yoji Aburame and Imuka Suzukaze. Yoji Aburame will be very important later. But the addition of these 2 new teammates does not change his Jonin's mind about letting them take the Chunin exam. And so Itachi's only way to improve his strength is to train with Shisui. But Yuki was doing this for a reason. He didn't want Itachi to take the Chunin exam because he knew that if he became a Chunin, he would be thrown into the battlefield. But Danzo, being Danzo, was realizing that if Itachi couldn't be on the battlefield, that Konoha was lacking in strength that it potentially could have. So he reached out to Fugaku, Itachi's father, and said, hey,
your son can just take the Chunin exams alone.
And Fugaku says yes, without even asking Itachi.
Literally does it alone, bro. Everybody else is always on the team. This motherfucker did the exams alone.
And while Itachi is excited to become a Chunin,
basically pulled a Gaara, you know?
Something he's wanted for a long time, that way he can improve. He's concerned about what Fugaku and Danzo have planned for him in the future. The Chunin exams were not hard for Itachi. You know that written part where everyone's supposed to cheat because the questions are so hard? Itachi just knows all the answers, and he completes the test so quickly because he knows all the answers that he spends the rest of the time watching all the other genin cheat. And then based off the ways that they're cheating, he makes hypotheses, I'm sorry, I used to be a scientist, about their abilities, and then makes counter strategies for how to defeat them later on. Itachi then...
That's insane. Like, I'm be real with you guys. If, you know what, the video, title of the video, Itachi is Batman, okay? If there's any character that is remotely similar or on the same caliber as Batman from the DC, it would be fucking Itachi. You're talking about a guy that's so fucking intelligent from the moment he's young and everything, knows everything, has weaknesses, and literally to the point where he finishes the test instantaneously and then is looking at everybody's abilities and building strategies to defeat every single one of them. Like, that's just insane.
Finds out that he got the second highest ever grade for the written test. The only person who had ever gone higher was Minato. The second stage of the test gives all of the genin 5 days to reach the center.
And Minato is just one of the goats. The guy is very fucking intelligent. Very intelligent. Like, that is something really important to actually put into consideration. Minato had the first highest, Itachi had the second, you know what I mean? So, and overall, like, that just goes to show how fucking smart Minato is, you know? So, like, just putting that out there for any of the Minato haters, you know, or even Itachi haters, these two are very fucking intelligent.
First of death, with 2 scrolls in their possession. Itachi heads directly to the center and bumps into a couple of other shinobi, specifically shinobi from the Hidden Mist village. He pleads with them and says, listen, I'm 9 and alone. I'm way stronger than you. There would be no other reason I would be here. He asks them to please just hand over their scroll because they're outclassed, and guess what? They laugh in his face. But then when they attack him, he turns into crows, and then he shoots a giant fireball at them, and then when they see his Sharingan, they say, okay, maybe he was right, and they hand over their scrolls. And then Itachi completes his second course in 5 hours and 32 minutes, which happens to be a new record. So he finally beat Minato, which moves Itachi on to the 3rd round.
So Minato had that record, and then Itachi had that record. But one thing I will say, though, Gaara, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I remember this correctly. Gaara actually beat Itachi's record. So just putting that out there. I'm pretty sure that was it, because there was a point where they were discussing, like, wow, it's been a very long time for someone to beat the highest record, you know, which was Itachi, and it was Gaara that they were talking about. And they were like, wow, there's not even a single touch or anything on him. Like, Like, he's not even harmed, no scratch, no fatigue, no nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Just nothing. And he finished that quick. Like, who is this guy, basically, you know?
Just like every other third round is a bunch of one-on-ones. Itachi's first one-on-one fight is supposed to be against another Konoha Genin, who pulls out because he's not Itachi. Get him next year, champ. Listen, I would have done the same thing. But Itachi's next fight is against one of my favorite people in all of the Naruto light novels, Nemoi? N-E-M-U-I. How would you say that?
Bro, I love his dog's always fucking chilling.
As in Leonard. Rest in power, homie. So Nemoi is from the village hidden in the clouds, and he's got an ability very similar to Zenitsu of Demon Slayer, where
I have no idea who the fuck he's talking about. I wish he would show a picture.
Actually only fights while asleep. And this is actually super effective against Itachi because one, his subconscious naturally dodges all of Itachi's attacks, and two, his eyes are closed, so he can't get cast under Genjutsu. But Itachi's a genius, and he theorizes that because Nemoi allows his subconscious to fight, that his conscious brain is cowardly. So when Nemoi occasionally wakes up to see how the fight is going, Itachi catches his gaze with his Sharingan and uses Genjutsu on him. He projects images of Nemoi's gruesome death to him every time he wakes up. And eventually it makes it so that Nemoi can no longer fall back asleep because he's so afraid.
And mind you, I don't know if you didn't catch that. He didn't say that Itachi stared in his eyes. He just glanced towards around his eyes and was able to put him in a Genjutsu. Meaning, therefore, he doesn't have to look directly into your eyes. As long as he's looking towards your eyes and your eyes are open or whatever, you know what I mean, everything, you're fucked. You're in a Genjutsu.
To fight Itachi, and after he can't fall asleep, he just gives up. But since he already started off cowardly, and now he was even more afraid of fighting at the end of this fight, he is screaming in fear. And it's so blood-curdling that it actually starts the audience to scream as well. And guess who is absolutely loving this? Danzo, who was in attendance. But what's really cool about this fight is it's the first circumstance of kind of Itachi fighting in a way that will become symbolic of the way he fights in the future. Itachi casts Genjutsu. It's not Tsukiyomi because he doesn't have a Mangekyo Sharingan yet, but he casts a Genjutsu onto his opponent in order to break their fighting spirit. And this effectively achieves his goal of wanting to end conflict without killing people. I mean, sure, he has inflicted psychological trauma.
Why do you think he, became mainly as a fighter for Genjutsu, is to avoid conflict and not have to fight or kill people, you know?
Child, but he didn't need to defeat this child physically. I always just thought that was a cool moment. Itachi is then supposed to have a third and final fight, but everyone is like,
Okay, let's stop throwing this guy at kids and just make him a Chunin.
The Uchiha are then ecstatic. They begin to celebrate and plan out Itachi's storied career as an Uchiha police force member. But Fugaku recommends something else. Fugaku says that they should break the tradition of Itachi joining the police force and that he should join the Anbu. At first, the other Uchihas are confused. Why would they send their most promising student away? But it's at this point that Fugaku lists out the reasons, most specifically it being the fact that Itachi would have an ear to the Hokage's every move, and he could then report the going-ons of Konoha back to the Uchiha clan. But it's at this point that Itachi learns a very valuable lesson, because he speaks out to Fugaku and he says,
but the Uchihas are part of Konoha. So spying on Konoha is just self-defeating.
This flies all of the Uchiha clan into a massive rage against Itachi, to which he can only apologize to. But this is the first time that Itachi has spoken publicly about the fact that he disagrees with Fugaku and the general Uchiha sentiment of the Uchiha clan being separate from Konoha. And this was also when he learned that he was very solitary in this stance. So for 5 months, Itachi just goes out and is just the best Chunin out there, period. And Fugaku then takes this 5 months kind of as a resume and submits Itachi to an Anbu spot. Hiruzen and Danzo then discuss to see if Itachi should actually be a member of the Anbu, and they both agree that he should, except Hiruzen thinks that he's a bit too young. They agree that they should send him out on an Anbu caliber mission in order to make sure that he is in fact ready for the Anbu though. So they say take a week off missions, this is to Itachi of course, and train in order to get strong enough for an Anbu caliber mission. Only thing is Itachi is already strong enough for an Anbu caliber mission, so he spends the whole week with Sasuke and he goes to lunch with Izumi once. At this point, it's largely implied they are dating. After the week is over, Itachi checks in with Danzo, and Danzo says,
in order to make Anbu, you're gonna have to do this mission.
And this mission is an Anbu caliber level mission. It's actually an assassination. And the assassination target is a man called Mukai Kohinata, an ex-Anbu captain and an owner of a Byakugan, but only in one eye. I actually made a whole video about this mission. If you want more details on it, I would check it out right about here. Actually, I'm sorry, he wasn't ex-Anbu. He was actually still currently Anbu, and he was selling Konoha's secrets to the Hidden Mist for money. But Danzo knew he was a traitor and therefore wanted him assassinated. Itachi knew that he had to join the Anbu in order to get stronger, in order to achieve his dream of eliminating conflict, so he accepted the mission. And since Mukai is still an Anbu member, he's still being sent out on Anbu missions. So Danzo essentially reaches out to Itachi and he says, you can bring one person with you to assassinate Mukai. To which Itachi obviously chooses Shisui. But since Mukai is an Anbu captain, the owner of a Byakugan, and very proficient in Gentle Fist, Danzo deems it appropriate that Itachi goes on a mission with him first under the guise of doing Anbu stuff in order to get familiar with his fighting technique. So Itachi and him go on a mission to the Hidden Stone, where Mukai actually has to defeat 20 shinobi from the Hidden Stone by himself. After this mission, Itachi starts to formulate how he's gonna kill this absolute monster of a man, but he's also got problems at home. You see, Fugaku has now made an announcement to the entire Uchiha clan that Itachi will soon be in the Anbu, and that this line to the Hokage's movements is gonna be very effective in their coup d'etat. The thing is, this is Itachi's first time hearing about the coup. And all of a sudden, the memories of when he was 4 years old on a battlefield from
so
the
he was
Great
4,
Ninja
okay.
War start rushing back to him. He realizes that a coup means there will be more conflict. It means that he will not be able to save his brother from the bloodshed that is to come. And he's terrified of that. And what's even worse than that is the next day, Fugaku reaches out to Itachi and says, I know you can take somebody else with you to assassinate Mukai. Take me. And that would have been bad for Mukai. But Itachi doesn't want him there because he's trying to create distance between him and Fugaku. And also, the next day is Sasuke's first day in the Ninja Academy. And Itachi wants Fugaku to be there for Sasuke to guarantee his happiness. Eventually, Fugaku relents, but this shows Itachi just how important it is to Fugaku that he becomes a member of the Anbu. The next day is the day they're supposed to assassinate Mukai, so Shisui and Itachi follow him around Konoha. They watch him leave shadow clones so he can make appearances in places while he meets up with his Hidden Mist comrades. And eventually, when he's outside of Konoha, they confront him. And a battle ensues. And if you want a detailed imagery of how that battle went down, please once again, check out the Mukai Kohinata video. But essentially, Shisui
I'm gonna
able
watch
to
that.
catch him in a Mangekyo Sharingan Genjutsu. Shisui has to use this because Mukai Kohinata is immune to weak Genjutsu like a regular Sharingan's Genjutsu. Except since he was Anbu, Mukai Kohinata programmed himself to, if he ever got caught in a Genjutsu that he himself couldn't break out of, he would instantly slice his stomach open. This way, no secrets would ever be extracted from him. And as he laid there dying, he confessed to all of his crimes
So I actually really do enjoy this because there's a lot of Shisui haters out there as well, and then there's people that are just ignorant. One of them, which you guys probably get mad when I state this, one of them is Swag, Kage, and Seth, and I believe even Six, to where, you know, there's a lot of downplays for Shisui that, oh, he's trash, or blah, blah, or this is not a character, yada, yada, and all this crap. When Shisui is very fucking powerful, very, very goated, and what makes Shisui such a fucking threat is his Mangekyo Sharingan and his in his teleportation, aka the body flicker technique. And remind you, it's a Shisui and Itachi fighting this guy. Nothing's working, whatever, yada yada, not even body flicker. And the guy's a beast. Regular Sharingan Genjutsu is not working against him either. Like, you know, like, it's nothing's working, right? And then Shishui's like, alright, fuck this, whips out Mangekyo and puts a Mangekyo Genjutsu, can't break out, and he's fucked. Now, whether if it was a normal Mangekyo or Kodomatsukami, you know what I mean? You know, I'm pretty sure it wasn't Kodomatsukami, because if it was, then he wouldn't have been able to do anything. So I think it was a Mangekyo Genjutsu, because then he went into detail, like, if something happened where he wasn't a Genjutsu, he had it, like, programmed to where all this other shit. So, like, pretty sure he didn't use Kodomatsukami. He just used Mangekyo Genjutsu, which is more stronger, you know? So, and it fucked him. But that just goes to show that Shisui will use the Mangekyo Sharingan if that's what it takes to win a battle. And there's a lot of people out there that actually really think that Shisui would not do that, or that's not in character. Or people think that, oh, Shisui being bloodlusted, he wouldn't just whip out the Mangekyo to beat someone. And it's like, bro, he's done it in this instance. You know what I mean? Like, he would do it if he needs to. It's really fucking stupid, you know? So, overall, I'm just putting that out there for you guys. But either way, that's something I wanted to kind of mention on my end, because, like I said, I like to give the props and recognition that Shishui deserves, and a lot of people don't really do that. So that's just me, though.
That his family wouldn't be prosecuted for what he did. With this mission being completed, Itachi's now part of the Anbu. And once he's accepted to the Anbu, he actually asked to be placed on Team Ro, aka the team that Kakashi is leading.
Yeah.
Because Kakashi had saved him earlier in life when they fought against Obito. But Danzo wants to protect Itachi, so he assigns somebody else to Team Ro with Itachi. This person wears a mask and is codenamed Suguru. Their true identity, though, is Yoji Aburame. If you don't remember that name, it's the person who replaced Tenma when he died on Itachi's Team 2 team. Itachi doesn't believe that he needs protection, but Danzo tells him that,
Imagine if you died. What would the Uchiha think? Do you know how upset they would be?
and Itachi thinks, oh yeah, you're actually right. They'd be super pissed about that. They'd probably think that you guys killed me. So on his way back from his first Anbu day, he bumps into Izumi, and Izumi, his pseudo girlfriend, says, hey, congratulations for making Anbu, but I'm kind of afraid they're making you into an assassin. He's like, you're right, but there's nothing we can do about that now. And as Itachi spends more time in the Anbu and more time on Team Ro, he gets closer to Kakashi. In fact, he becomes so close with Kakashi that he defends Kakashi when people call him friend killer, because he thinks Kakashi is an incredible A, friend, but B, leader. But that isn't all he's doing with the Anbu. Now that he has an ear to the movements of Konoha, Fugaku and the other Uchiha are pressing him at Uchiha meetings about what's going on. Essentially, Itachi then relays to them that there's no prejudice towards the Uchiha and that they're making up all of the conflict that they see. He says that
Take your career off pause.
Gotta love ads.
that there is some prejudices on a personal basis and some jealousies, but that's it. The Uchihas decide to focus on the latter thing that he said, though, as opposed to the former, and once again get upset with Itachi when he says that they're making up the conflict
Hey, beautiful. Good morning.
that they see. But after that meeting, Shisui pulls Itachi to the side and says, listen, the third Hokage has reached out to me.
All right, once he's settled down and taken care of, if you want, we can head over to Walmart real quick just to knock it out and get a couple things.
Me and offered me to try and end this planned coup, effectively making me Anbu just like you. So now Shisui and Itachi are going to work together to end the coup. And Itachi's first assignment on Team Ro and the Anbu is to keep an eye on all of the Uchiha with the use of hidden cameras. Essentially, the Anbu had placed hidden cameras all throughout the Uchiha combat. And on Itachi's first ever time watching these cameras through all these monitors, he realizes something. Itachi notices a man who would be imperceptible to most people sneak into the Naka Shrine, aka the Uchiha compound, and go for the stone tablet. This is the same masked man he had seen years ago. And years ago, he had hypothesized that he was an Uchiha, but now looking at him and identifying his presence, he realized he was correct. He hypothesized that this Uchiha would have to be somebody reported dead whose body was never confirmed, and the only person he could think of that fit that description was Madara. He didn't report this to anybody else, but he kept it in the back of his brain. And Itachi stays on this surveillance mission for
See, that also pissed me off in the story of Naruto, and I'm gonna be real with you guys, because Itachi had his, his experience with him, and Itachi was one of the few others to know about the existence of the Masked Man, which reminds you, the first time there was even anyone to know was Minato, but he was dead, so he couldn't fucking say anything, and also Naruto's mother. So, and then Itachi has, an interaction, knows about it, but he doesn't say fucking anything. Like, he doesn't tell Hiruzen, he doesn't tell nobody, you know what I mean? Like, and after knowing all this stuff, and then what the information that he does know, and all the stuff that he has seen from watching him, then he's like, oh, he might be actually Madara, you know what I mean? Don't you think that's pretty important information to pass along to your village, and he never fucking did, which is really fucking stupid, that's just me, but regardless, we'll get into it.
Of months until he gets a new mission. Essentially, Itachi and Team Ro are sent to watch over a peace treaty signing between the Land of Frost and Konoha. Only problem is, when Konoha pulls up, the Land of Frost kill all of the treaty signers. So Team Ro then goes to retaliate to kill the people who killed the Konohanians. Itachi leads the charge and kills those who are responsible for killing his fellow Konohanians. Konoha Knights.
He grabbed your pillow and is trying to eat it.
Oh my god.
people from Konoha. But here's the thing, at the peace treaty, there was also people from the Land of Frost who didn't partake in killing the people from Konoha, and he wants to let them get away. He believes they're innocent, and he really only wanted to kill the people responsible. But Tenzo, aka Yamato, Kakashi, and Yoji Aburame, the rest of his team, cut down all of those people. And this hurts Itachi like a lot, because it reminds him that he's no closer to the objective that he once originally set out for, which is the elimination of conflict through overwhelming power. He couldn't protect those that he deemed innocent, those from the Land of Frost who hadn't killed the people from Konoha. It's at this point that he realizes that he'll most likely never be successful, and he wants to stop being an Anbu member, but unfortunately he can't. His anger towards his involvement in the Anbu then spills over to his relationship with the Uchiha. He becomes vocal in Uchiha meetings, saying that you guys are making up the conflict against us. And this vocal opposition to the Uchiha ideals makes the other Uchiha suspicious of Itachi, and the only solace he can find in the world is the time he gets to spend with Sasuke. But Fugaku's not the monster I've painted him out to be thus far. He actually sees that the duality of being in the Anbu and also being an Uchiha member is ripping Itachi apart. So he goes up to Itachi and he says,
Do what you think is best.
and Itachi says, I vow to not let anybody else tell me how to lead my life. And that actually fills Fugaku with a lot of pride. Flash forward a couple of days, and Shisui calls Itachi out to a meeting in the woods in the middle of the night. Shisui has been told by the Uchihas now to spy on Itachi, even though this did not come from Fugaku. It was voted on by the majority of the Uchiha that Itachi was now a threat to them. He also tells Itachi that the coup is going to be voted on at the next Uchiha meeting, and it's highly likely it will be approved. So Shisui says to Itachi that they need to intervene. Itachi then comes up with a plan to use Shisui's Koto Matsukame on Fugaku in order to change his mind about the coup. They believe since Fugaku is the leader of the coup, he will eventually sway those around him to stop the coup. But Shisui who says it's more than likely that those who most ardently support the idea of the coup will think that you are the reason that Fugaku was backed off it. You being Itachi. So Shisui says that Itachi should not be at the meeting that night. And so they decided that Itachi wouldn't be in attendance. Shisui's plan
because he was going to use a Kodo Matsukame on the entire Uchiha clan, which is fucking insane.
To use Kodo Matsukame on Fugaku before the meeting, therefore the meeting would sway in their favor. But before the Uchiha meeting, Danzo summoned Shisui. Danzo then in their meeting explains to Shisui that using Kodo Matsukame will not stop the coup. It'll only postpone it. He then tells Shisui that his eyes would be better suited in Danzo's care. And it's at that moment that Shisui becomes paralyzed. Yoji Aburame emerges from the shadow and reveals to Shisui that he has gotten a paralytic and poisonous bug under Shisui's skin. So as Shisui stands there completely frozen, Danzo plucks one of his eyes out of his face. This pain snaps Shisui out of his paralysis and he runs away. Only problem is he is still heavily poisoned, fatally poisoned. And Danzo orders that Yoji Aburame and the rest of the
he was done so dirty, to be honest. Like, over here trusting his comrades and shit and whatnot. He's like, hey, I'm just gonna use Kodo Matsukame on my family in Uchiha, and there you go, be fine, or whatever, you know. And then they're like, yeah, but what's to say you won't ever use Kodo Matsukame on us? And also, what's to also say, you know, and this will just postpone it. It's not really gonna put an actual dent into stopping the coup, you know. And then the bug guy just behind his back puts a fucking venomous, you know, paralyzing bug, bites him, whatever. And then now he's paralyzed, gets his eye ripped out, and then getting fucking gangbanged by Anbu and Danzo. And he's still putting up a fight and giving them a run for his money, and then utilizing Susanoo and everything, you name it. And then, you know, we all know what happens afterwards. You know, gives his eye to Itachi and commits suicide. So it's like, he was done so dirty, though. It was pretty fucking rough. And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like Kishimoto really did that, because at the end of the day, he gave that character a broken-ass ability, and that character was really fucking strong. And if he was still kind of around or a thing, he would have made a lot of fixes in Naruto. Let's put it that way. Kodo Matsukame is ridiculously broken.
Anbu that were in attendance kill Shisui. He doesn't want him to reveal what he had done to Itachi. But here's the thing, Itachi is waiting in the same place that he had met with Shisui, and he was gonna wait there until the Uchiha clan meeting was over so he could hear about what a great success it was. Only problem is Shisui pulled up a couple hours early and one eye short. He told him everything that happened, and now the coup was unavoidable. He then summons a passing crow and pulls out his last remaining eye and puts it into the crow, and then tells the crow to follow Itachi everywhere he goes. It's at this point that Shisui actually tells Itachi how he awoke his Mangekyo Sharingan. During the Third Great Ninja War, Shisui was on a mission with a couple of Geni that was way too difficult for Geni, and him and his closest friend at the time were running away from enemies, but his closest friend fell behind, and Shisui made no attempt to save him. Shisui used the enemies killing his closest friend to escape. That's actually what awoke his Mangekyo Sharingan. And while Shisui didn't actually have to kill his best friends, he actually let the enemy kill his best friends because he was jealous of that boy's abilities. And it's at this point that Shisui says to Itachi that Yoji Zaburame is poison will kill me, but you can kill me first and awaken your Mangekyo Sharingan. So Itachi slowly approaches Shisui with tears in his eyes and kills him. And as Shisui's body falls into a waterfall, Itachi can feel the Mangekyo Sharingan pulsing in his eyes. Believe it or not, the next day Itachi is very upset. And you know it doesn't help? When 3 policemen pull up to your house asking, hey, did you have anything to do with your best friend's death? Because naturally they were suspicious of him because Shisui had been put on post as a spy for Itachi. Now he's mysteriously dead. So yeah, Itachi attacks them. I would have done the same thing. It's at this point though that Fugaku, who has separated Itachi from the 3 policemen, realizes that Itachi has sided with Konoha. This is a problem because the coup cannot succeed without Itachi. So Fugaku is lost. A little bit later, Izumi stops by in order to find Itachi, and Fugaku sits her down and asks her to give Itachi the support that he wished he had. Flash forward to Itachi's 12th birthday. He has now been upgraded to Anbu Captain. This is because he now was in charge of making sure the coup didn't happen like Shisui was. Hiruzen actually doesn't want to make him an Anbu Captain because technically you have to be 13, but Danzo's like, we'll just bend the rules here. But this is also the first time that Itachi has seen Danzo since he murdered Shisui. So Itachi looks at Danzo and goes, why did you murder him? To which Danzo answers honestly. He says that Shisui's plan wouldn't have worked and that his eyes were better suited in Danzo's hands. Danzo then begins to list out ways that would be better to stop the coup than what Shisui had planned. And slowly Danzo and Itachi begin to realize that the only true way to stop the coup is to eliminate the Uchihas. And
when you build with
See, and this is another point that I really had like a fucking contentious, mentality on as well. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, Itachi should have just killed Danzo. Like, it's like the guy standing there in front of him, killed his best friend, for no fucking reason, basically. It was really dumb, you know what I mean? And Itachi literally just asked him, like, why, you know what I mean? And then you would think, like, something would pop off or a fight. Or better yet, to not even go to that extent, to just tell Hiruzen that, hey, this guy killed Chishuri, you know what I mean? Like, and it's causing more problems and making this more worse than it needs to be. Like, we need to have a peaceful resolution here. Like, this is getting out of hand. Like, come on. But no, like, they just keep talking, and then they both come to an agreement that, oh yeah, let's just slaughter the Uchiha clan. You know what I mean? Like, and mind you, Danzo still has Chisui's eye, Itachi has it, so Kodomatsu Kami can still technically be used. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, there was just so much weird shit that I got from that I just didn't really agree with or thought was really dumb and stupid. And if I'm being real with you, there should have been, you know what I mean? There should have been a better solution or a better way to go about it. In my opinion, it was very poor writing and it just didn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, Itachi is a pacifist and all this other shit, wants peace, blah, blah, you name it. You would really think he would figure out a way to prevent anything happening to the Leaf and the Uchiha. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's just me. I'll let you guys kind of, have your own thoughts on that, and you could put it down in the comments or whatever, but I don't know. That was also another point where I was like, I really just don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking dumb. It's like, I get it that, like, why they did it, because, obviously the Uchiha's dead, and the Uchiha can't fight against the Hidden Leaf, and then there's not going to be a civil war, and then that protects everybody because other enemy nations would intervene if there was a civil war, and overall everybody would basically be fucked or die. But like, they could have found ways to prevent the civil war. That's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? Like, if that was the only option, then yes, sure. But it's not. You know what I mean? It's not like it's the same as like the guy in the boat, like, oh, he's sick and whatever. You know what I mean? What are you going to do with him? You know what I mean? Like, come on,
Itachi's leaving this mission, Yoji Aburame, who has been masked as Suguro this entire time, reveals his identity to Itachi. He tells him that Danzo placed him in the Ninja Academy to keep an eye on Itachi from day one, and that he knows that Itachi wants to kill Danzo, but he shouldn't, because Danzo has taken sole responsibility for many deplorable things in Konoha's history, so killing him will be harmful to Konoha. It's at this point that it's revealed to us that Danzo is actually the person who leaked Naruto's identity as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki in order to make a rallying point of hate in Konoha to bring them back from the brink of destruction. Danzo is the evil MVP.
I didn't even know that. Danzo's a piece of shit, bro. He was always just a piece of shit. Like I never even knew that. I didn't know he was the reason why everyone knew Naruto had the Nine Tails. That's crazy. What an asshole.
She then spends the next year collecting information on the Uchiha.
Man said, you know what? Let me fucking let everybody know and leak and that he's the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails and give him the worst fucking life he could possibly have.
Now all of the Uchiha
just for other selfish, dumb reasons.
Him and Fugaku get into verbal sparring matches all the time.
But the craziest thing is Danzo did so much bad shit and caused so many bad shit to happen as a domino effect. And you want to know the one character that actually gets the most shade and blame out of all? Hiruzen. I don't understand what the fuck it's about, but everybody gets on Hiruzen and blames him. Like, when literally it's other people causing the problems and doing this shit. You know, like... I don't fucking get it. Like, the only thing I'll say and give is, like, Hiruzen should have dealt with Danzo a long time ago, but at the same time, it's, like, kind of like one of his personal best buddies, practically family. They were in war together, you name it, yada yada, and they're kind of like rivals. And Hiruzen does understand the fact that the only benefit from Danzo is that he's willing to make the hard calls, or aka the darkness, okay, of the dictatorship and the political aspect of things, and that Danzo, no matter what, will make sure to do whatever will protect the hidden leaf no matter what, while Hiruzen can't cross certain lines, you know, because he's the light and etc. So it's like, that's the only thing I'll kind of give Hiruzen for, but then again, I can at least understand why he had conflictions and struggled with that. But when it really comes to everything, it was mainly Danzo's fault, and everybody blames Hiruzen for that. And a lot of people blame him for Naruto having a shitty life too, which to certain extents, yes and no, you know what I mean? But like, you know, at the end of the day, like, come on, Hiruzen's grandson, you know what I mean, wasn't even fucking spoiled or trained or favorited from Hiruzen. He didn't give a fuck about his own grandson, you know what I mean? You really think he's gonna give a fuck about Naruto? You know what I mean? Like, he'll do whatever and help, but, you know, he's not gonna baby him or hold his hand or give him fucking rainbows and sunshine. You know, like, especially with the whole traditions of a ninja and yada yada and basically his traditions and how he was raised, like, we deal with the same shit in our world. We have our parents that have their own core values or traditions, and 9 times out of 10, they still believe in it and try to pass it on to their kids. You know, and that either works or it doesn't. So it's like, there's so much logical explanations for it, but a lot of people are just stupid and ignorant.
Of the Uchiha, and Izumi pleads with Itachi to continue trying to sway Fugaku, but he says it's too late. But Itachi has been keeping an eye on all of the Uchihas with these cameras. And using these cameras, he's now figured out that they plan to do the coup in 10 days. He brings this information to Hiruzen, to which Hiruzen asks, can you stall him? Hiruzen wants to try and figure out some way to reach out to the Uchiha to stop the coup. But Danzo reaches out to Itachi after that meeting and says he's not going to be able to accomplish anything. You should just go through with our plan of eliminating the Uchihas, because that's what Hiruzen's gonna...
And see, at this key point, if Itachi actually believed in Hiruzen and his plan to just talk with the Uchiha and to come to a peaceful resolution, you name it, like, at least just give it a fucking chance. Don't be just so fucking negative and hopeless and be like, oh, nah, that's not gonna work. Let me listen to Danzo out of all fucking people. You know what I mean? Like, that's all he had to do is just wait it out and see. And if that didn't work, then fucking use Kodo Matsukami, or talk with him first. Doesn't work, then just do Kodo Matsukami. You know what I mean? Like, he, in my opinion, he never had to go to that extent. It wasn't like he was completely out of options, you know? And if that didn't work for some reason, Kodo Matsukami, then fuck it, kill them all. You know, like, whatever. But it's just, it's stupid.
Fall onto as an answer in the end. Itachi agrees, because why not? Itachi continues to observe the clan through the cameras, and one day he realizes everybody from the clan has left the Naka Shrine in order to get ready for the coup. It's at that point that he breaks into the Naka Shrine to do some investigating, but he finds the Masked Man in the Naka Shrine looking at the stone tablet. He confronts the Masked Man, calling him Madara Uchiha, and asks all about his planned vendetta against Konoha, knowing Madara's history. Obito doesn't deny any of this, and it's at this point that Itachi says, since you hate Konoha, you should help me eliminate the clan. And Obito nonchalantly agrees. They plan to do the massacre the night before the coup because all of the Uchiha will be in the Uchiha compound, so they're all together and ready to fight in the morning. And when the downfall, is what it's called, begins, Itachi makes his first target Izumi, his girlfriend. Uses Tsukiyomi, the first time he's ever used his Mangekyo Sharingan ability on Izumi. And in 100th of 1,000th of 1 millionth of a second, Itachi has Izumi live an entire lifetime with him where they have kids and grandkids.
Once again, I'm gonna Google it right now because I know it's insane, but the motherfucker did that shit in a picosecond. A picosecond. I know that's like a big deal, and I don't know exactly what it means, but that's insane because I know that's like beyond like the measures of fucking time itself and whatnot. And the fact that he can cast Tsukiyomi and make them experience shit in a picosecond, a whole life, is just insane. And literally establishes the point that I've even made in many other videos that like if you get put in Tsukiyomi, you're fucked. There's no breaking out of it. There's no revert. There's no nothing. Like, you don't even have the time to, like, apprehend time itself to allow you to get out of it. That's the problem with Tsukiyomi, or better yet, even a Kodo Matsukami, is that Kodo Matsukami, you don't even know you're in a Genjutsu, and you're just being controlled like a puppet. So once again, you can't break out. And then Tsukiyomi, you can't do anything. Time is literally against you. There's no way for you to defend. Like, it's one thing if Itachi did a regular Mangekyo Genjutsu, then yes, you could argue for them to either break out or whatever, react, you name it. But Tsukiyomi is an hacks-based Genjutsu that literally manipulates time and space itself. You can't do anything. You know, it's so fucking broken. Why do you think Infinite Tsukiyomi was used towards the end? Clearly establishing that Tsukiyomi is a very broken, crazy ass Genjutsu, you know. Like, come on now. Let me see if I can actually, you know, come out and fucking actually, hang on, I'm on the wrong thing. Do it here. Picosecond. Let's see this. Okay. Picosecond is a unit of time formed by the prefix or whatever, blah, blah, equal to the... Okay. That is 1 trillionth or 1 millionth or of 1 millionth of a second. Or 0.00000000001 seconds. Picosecond is to 1 second as 1 second is to approximately 31,689,000 years. 1 trillionth of a second. That is insane. That is in-fucking-sane. So, like, just imagine that, you know? So, yeah, no. Like, you're not getting out of Tsukiyomi.
It's all the way to where she dies of natural causes.
And another thing I really love about that, too, is, this actually did piss me off in the anime, like, and I was really confused. Like, they basically just show Obito killing her and her kind of, like, calling out for Itachi, please save me. You know what I mean? Which I fucking hated that. That was really stupid and out of character for Itachi. While in the actual novels and the books, Itachi goes to her and puts her in Tsukiyomi and gives her an entire life with him to where they grow up together, they get married, they have kids, and they die together. You know what I mean? Like, gives her an entire fucking life, you know? It clearly establishing their love that they had for each other, their romantic relationship, and kind of giving her a peaceful death, you know? And that was beautiful. Like, I would actually really love to see him do that, and it's just a whole episode of Itachi and her living their life together. That would have been amazing. Fucking amazing. But we never got it. Instead, we get fucking just Obito coming out with the chains. It's like, all right, time to die, bitch. You know, like, it was so dumb. It was so fucking stupid.
In the end. And dying of natural causes in the illusion tricks her body to dying of natural causes in the real world. But before she dies, she falls into his arms and says, thank you for loving me. And then she's dead. It's at this point.
And see, imagine that. Like, then she like finally wakes up. She's about to die from the effects of Tsukiyomi. And she looks at him and says, thank you for loving me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that shit probably would have made me cry, bro. You know, like if they actually made that an episode, I would have more likely cried, and that would have definitely gave you the feels. You know, it was such a wasted opportunity.
Obito and Itachi enter the compound from opposite sides. Itachi offers up to deal with as many of the women and children as possible, but Obito says he shouldn't do this because he's already burdening himself with so many treacherous deeds. So Obito actually goes to kill all of the non-fighting women and children, and Itachi is assigned to killing the fighting Jonin men. Itachi tries to kill the people he respects quickly and painlessly. He even allows some people the chance to fight back. But the people who were ardent supporters of the coup and pushed Fugaku into making sure the coup happened, Itachi killed slowly and very painfully. Once everybody but Itachi's parents are dead, he takes a second, finds Sasuke walking home from school and basks in his last moments of innocence before he sees what's happened. He then rushes to his house to beat Sasuke there. He finds his mother and his father waiting for him there, and they don't accept his apology, but they also don't fight back. Fugaku apologizes, but also tells him that he's proud of how strong that Itachi has got and that he believes so ardently in Konoha. He tells Itachi that he thinks one day he could have been the Hokage, reuniting the Uchiha and Konoha finally. And before Itachi kills both of them, they only ask that he keeps an eye on Sasuke. And to this point, that Sasuke finds Itachi standing over his parents' body.
To this day, that scene not only made me cry every time I ever saw it, but to this day, it hit so hard in my heart. Like, I could never even grasp the concept of having to go that far and slaughter your own parents right in front of you just to maintain peace. You know, like, that's just horrible.
And Itachi puts into motion a plan that he has for Sasuke. Essentially, Itachi's plan is to make Sasuke hate him so much that he gains an incredible amount of power, and then eventually kills Itachi, becoming a hero in Konoha's eyes. But this is agonizing to Itachi. But it actually works so well that Sasuke rushes him immediately and tries to attack him, and he actually does hit him, but he hits him on the forehead protector. It's actually a canon little fun fact that Itachi didn't scratch out his own Konoha leaf band. No, it was actually Sasuke who did it while attacking him. Itachi then escapes into the night, but fears that Sasuke saw him crying, which would destroy his entire plan. Itachi then gets into a disguise and finds Danzo, who has now begun to collect the bodies of all of the Uchiha members. Where do you think he got all those eyes? Itachi looks at him and says, if you ever lay a hand on Sasuke, I will reveal everything you've ever done. And then he goes over to Hiruzen, who has told him that he has stripped Danzo of all authority for what he pushed Itachi to do. Itachi then relies on Hiruzen that he will be going to the Akatsuki in order to keep an eye on them for Konoha. And as Itachi is leaving the village, he realizes he's been followed by somebody, and that somebody is Yoji Aburame, the person who killed Shisui. Itachi knows he's being followed. In fact, once he gets out of Konoha, he turns around and he casts Tsukiyomi onto the insects in Yoji Aburame's body. This freezes Yoji immediately in his tracks. And as Yoji stands there, frozen, his bug stuck in Tsukiyomi, just like how Shisui was frozen in front of him as Danzo plucked out his eye, Itachi activates Amaterasu and watches him burn to death. To this point that Obito actually takes Itachi to the village.
Which is really insane because, you know, and this is another thing I'm going to put out there for all these weirdos and people that just either ignorant or really don't understand how Genjutsu works, you know, and the Sharingan, or especially Itachi and etc. That once again, you don't have to look into the eyes of the person that you are casting Genjutsu on. You got to remember, Itachi is going against Anbu level opponents, meaning very smart, skilled, and deadly ninja, okay? And they're very well aware of tactics of fighting against an Uchiha, okay, to where they know, oh, I just won't look you in the eyes, or blah, blah, or they'll develop even their own, like, you know, tactics and how to, or counter, you know, tactics for the Sharingan, whatever. Yet, Itachi can still cast his Tsukiyomi. You know what I mean? Like, clearly going to show that he doesn't need to establish eye contact, that as long as he's looking around there or whatever, he can activate the Genjutsu, you know. And if you guys really want to go, oh no, there's no way, blah blah, this and that, yada yada, it's like, bro, he casted Tsukiyomi on the bug guy that is well aware to not look a Sharingan user in the eye. So meaning, if you still really believe that it has to initiate the eye and all that, then meaning that Itachi just somehow, some way forced him to look into his eyes, okay? Which, yeah, that's a possibility, but you're talking about a guy that's doing it against him and 1,000 bugs. You think Itachi can look at 1,000 bugs in the fucking eye? You know, like, he cast all the bugs in Tsukiyomi and him in Tsukiyomi, and has literally casted Tsukiyomi on other people. You know what I mean? That would not look him in the eyes. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, with the whole eye argument or the whole fucking, like, counter, you know, whatever. It's dumb. It doesn't fucking work. The only things that were actually shown to be remotely effective was either, like, the jutsu that I think either Tobirama or the first Hokage made, the false darkness, which is literally the counter Sharingan, okay? Or kind of something what Guy was doing to just look at their body or their feet. But that won't really work that well either, especially, once again, like I explained. So it's not really an effective way. It'd be the first jutsu that I talked about, or you would have to literally just close your eyes altogether. Like, you just can't have them open. Close your eyes, and that's it. And figure it out, which you can only do that if you have, like, Sage mode. You know what I mean? So, or some type of way to sense your enemy and are literally trained to fight that way. So overall, like, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't fucking happening. And you're getting put in those genjutsus. It's that fucking simple.
Hidden in the rain to meet up with the Akatsuki. And then the rest is the story of Naruto.
And then another thing, too, there is even a point where two of Danzo's henchmen, as Ambu members, like, went to fight him. They're like, oh, we already have counter tactics for your Sharingan. We won't look in your eyes or whatever. Bring it on, blah, blah. We've been training to defeat you. And he puts him in a genjutsu immediately. And they're like, how the fuck, whatever, yada, yada. And he's like, I looked at your eyes way before with my Sharingan when we weren't fighting, or, you know, whatnot. And I immediately placed the genjutsu on that point. Or better, well, not really placed, but whenever if he looks at anyone's eyes with his Sharingan, even if they're not fighting him, and this can be at any point in moment, and then out of nowhere that person decides to fight you, he can immediately put you in genjutsu. Like that, you know? So, and he did that as well to those people, and then they were fucked, you know? And even if he didn't do that, he could just do finger genjutsu or normal genjutsu, and overall it's being either enhanced with the Sharingan, or better yet, it's Itachi. He's a fucking genjutsu prodigy. So, like, you're fucked anyway. You know what I mean? Like, overall, you're just fucked. You know? He has many ways to go about it.
Well, we were just talking about a couple of abilities that I think we should really dive into with Itachi here. Most importantly, Tsukiyomi, Amaterasu, and his Susanoo. Because those three things are actually very reflective of the personality and upbringing I just told to you. Tsukiyomi is meant to reflect Itachi's early idealism. By placing people into a genjutsu that only lasts 1 second in the real world, but 72 hours in their brain, Itachi's able to break the fighting spirit of people who are massively powerful, like Kakashi. In fact, Tsunade needs to cast medical ninjutsu onto Kakashi's brain to bring him back from essentially comatose. Itachi can use this in order to create a world where he is the strongest person. All he has to do is make eye contact with people vastly stronger than him in order to stop them from bringing conflict. If Itachi could use this on the right people, he could stop conflict from ever rising again. Imagine he got this to the Hokages and broke their will to fight. Hokage, who's afraid of battle, of death, of all of these things, will seek for peaceful resolution. And that's why Tsukiyomi fits him so well. In fact, Tsukiyomi is actually the god of the moon in Japanese mythology, while Itachi's other ability, Amaterasu, is actually the god of the sun. But Amaterasu means something else for Itachi. Amaterasu represents Itachi's loss of that idealism. Amaterasu as an ability shoots a black flame, and if it hits you, you burn until you die. There is no room for pity in that. Yes, Itachi can stop the jutsu from killing you by deactivating it. This is an ability that if he hits you with, you are dead. Easy as that. And painfully so. But think about how he awoke his Mangekyo Sharingan ability. By losing one of the closest people on Earth to him. Something that he was actively trying not to do. But just because he lost Shisui didn't mean he still didn't want to make a world that was conflict-free for Sasuke, which is
Mama says it's her.
Why there's such duality in his eyes abilities. But let's talk about the third deity, Susanoo. Susanoo is the god of storms in Japanese mythology, and somebody who awakens to Mangekyo Sharingan is able to manifest a Susanoo. And Itachi's is one that I talk about a lot. Most importantly, because he has two very interesting abilities that come along with the Susanoo. the Yata mirror and the Totsuka blade. People wonder how he got these two things. Did he find them somewhere? Did he collect them? Is it a jutsu?
Very good question.
It's none of those things. As you awaken a Susanoo, you get your Susanoo. You don't collect new Susanoo items. Therefore, your Susanoo is a manifestation of your spirit. And Itachi Susanoo makes a lot of sense. The Yata mirror is a mirror that will change its chakra nature to reflect any ninjutsu that is being shot at it. So in essence, he has a Susanoo shield.
It's to reflect any attacks, by the way. It's not just ninjutsu. It can be taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, anything, and it will reflect it, and that's it.
That can block all ninjutsu.
Can block
Think
and
about
reflect.
that at its core fundament. He has a shield that can withstand anything, much like how Itachi has had to withstand everything his entire life. He has had to take hate, anger, jealousy, and reflect all of it in order to protect and create a world for Sasuke. And in the other hand, he has the sword of Totsuka, a sword that if you run your enemies through, it seals them into a genjutsu world called the world of drunken dreams. Doesn't matter who you are, if you get pierced with this sword, you're gone. But think about that sword that can defeat anyone. That is what Itachi is, a sword that was used to defeat everybody. Where this gets confusing is the fact that Orochimaru is searching for the sword of Totsuka. But we know that Naruto relies heavily.
I'm glad he mentioned that, because that's one thing you can't argue against that theory, is the fact that Orochimaru made it seem like there were actual tools and weapons you can find. But yet with his whole argument, with the whole spirit thing and the Susanoo, which that is correct, you know what I mean, and how that's why, and he was able to basically summon those weapons within from his spirit, and that is how you can actually obtain it. So now, if you were to like give that to someone or pass it along, then they could probably use it too. You know what I mean? If they're like a Susanoo user, or if it's Orochimaru or whoever, because apparently Orochimaru thought he could be able to do it too. You know what I mean? Like, that goes to show, you know, that's what it is. So his theory could be correct, but that's what it took to find and obtain it. You know what I mean? As I don't think they were just floating about on the planet and you could find it if you did. I'm pretty sure you had to have that spirit in order to obtain them from whatever dimension or realm or whatever. So I believe it's both correct, or it's one or the other. And you know what I mean, the only main really thing that we have would be the statement from Orochimaru, and that's kind of what Kishimoto kind of gives to us in hints. So that would technically be the strongest interpretation to go off, meaning that it's more than likely just two tools, you know what I mean, that, or weapons you can find anywhere or whatever. And the whole cool concept about that I really thought about that'd be pretty cool to discuss is, you know, imagine if like someone found them and just used it, you know what I mean? Or like imagine if Obito had it, or if Madara, or, you know what I mean? Like, bro, imagine if all these other characters had the Totsuka blade or the Yata mirror. Like, that should be insane. Fucking insane, you know?
On Japanese mythology. I mean, Tsukiyomi, Susanoo, Amaterasu. In Japanese mythology, many higher ups in the god realm have the sword of Totsuka. It's a very common item amongst them. So Orochimaru wasn't looking for the sword of Totsuka that Itachi had. He was just looking for one for himself. In fact, in Japanese mythology, Susanoo, the storm god, steals his sword of Totsuka from an 8-headed snake. You want to guess that snake's name? Yamada no Orochi. So yeah, that's his backstory, why he has his weapons, his motivations, all of it. I hope this video has allowed you to understand better who Itachi is as a character, because he is beloved as a character, you know, being a double agent the whole time and that whole character arc and being incredibly well written. But there's a lot of hidden motivations that people don't understand about him. But if you're sitting here right now at the end of this video, you do.
And that's one thing I will get. It was really well written, and it was insane. Like, the story was really fucking sad. It was really, really crazy. Like, the whole plot twist, or the whole, like, wait, he was a good guy all along. Like, it was all beautiful. It was all amazing. It was incredible experiences. I just had certain gripes and certain little pet peeves, because when you really analyze it and look deeper and kind of see what was around it, there could have been other ways for them to deal with it. You know what I mean? And whether if it would have worked or not, that's a whole other thing. But, you know, that's just me. So
this is going to end up being one of the longest videos I've ever created.
So, but that's going to kind of be that for Itachi. We don't really need to continue any for an amazing video, a W. Really, really great job by NCHAMMER23 for giving Itachi the recognition and the credit that he deserves. So, absolutely incredible job. I'm not going to make the conclusion of this video too long, you know, but basically for my thoughts to keep it short and sweet, Itachi's no fucking joke. He's a beast, okay? He was a beast from the moment he was a fucking 4 years old. He's a god tier. He's super fucking intelligent, literally Batman and Naruto. Amazing with planning, prep time, you name it, whatever. Overpowered fucking abilities in his eyes. The most broken fucking Susanoo we've seen that doesn't utilize power itself. It's just broken in defense and hacks abilities. Like, the character was just insane. And the potential he had was basically limitless. He always found a way to win and achieve the victory and whatever, to beat anyone. He knew about everything. Like, he didn't even fear a person that he thought was Madara. Like, the guy was crazy. Crazy fucking powerful. And not only that, which a lot of people don't believe or think this, but one extra thing I kind of want to add for Itachi Uchiha as well, is I do believe that he also had the perfect Susanoo in his utility belt and could have gone that route as well. And that would have either been something he just immediately picked up in a battle, or he could just do because he could do it, you know what I mean? Or it just took him a little bit longer and bam, he would have done it. If you really analyze the character of Itachi, he could be able to use the perfect Susanoo. If Kakashi was able to do it by obtaining a Mangekyo and he was immediately able to use perfect Susanoo, while Sasuke had to fucking, like, go through all the stages and figure it out, you name it, and he wasn't even able to do perfect Susanoo until fucking he fought Naruto in the end, or not to the end, until Hagoromo gave him Sixth Path, like, that just goes to show that if Kakashi can fucking do it, Itachi most definitely could be able to fucking do it. And I do strongly believe that if Itachi, wasn't planning to die or wasn't on his deathbed and all that and everything, that he could have also activated perfect Susanoo if he wanted to. I do strongly believe that. It just never got to that point and was never necessary because, once again, he has his Susanoo, he has the Totsuka Blade, the Yata Mirror, and that's really all he needs to kind of deal with any of the threats he fought. And he never really went against a threat that pushed him enough to have to resort to using the perfect Susanoo. Therefore, aka if Itachi had a fight against, like, maybe Pain or Minato or Madara or Hashirama and characters on those calibers and extents, that he would have to use the perfect Susanoo along with his Yata Mirror and his Totsuka Blade. And you're talking about a guy that is just completely invincible. Like, what the fuck do you do? You know what I mean? Like what do you do, bro? So, like, overall, Itachi is a very underrated character. And if you guys still don't believe me on the whole PS theory, Kishimoto even gave Itachi his perfect Susanoo in the Naruto video games. Which, the Naruto video games, there is ones that there are canon, and then the ones that, like, don't, you know what I mean, that, like, are not, like, heavily with all the canon material, but, are the games and everything and follow the story. Okay, those are also supervised and made by Kishimoto and approved, and you name it. So all of it's with Kishimoto, and Kishimoto is the one that made Naruto, period. So the whole argument to say, oh, the games are irrelevant, or you can't really use the games for scaling, or this or that or whatever, they are relevant and they do matter because Kishimoto was literally involved in the production of it, supervised it, and approved it, and liked it, and brought it into Naruto as well, and was completely okay with it. And overall, Itachi has a perfect Susanoo in it. You know what I mean? So, which would just mainly confirm my theory overall and not really make it a theory and actually make it, like, actual proof that, yeah, he could also utilize the perfect Susanoo as well. So Itachi is no fucking joke. Very, very powerful. Now, I know a lot of people might have gripes towards that and be like, oh, what the fuck? He don't got perfect involvement in this and that, whatever. But I'm telling you right now, it just wouldn't make any sense for him not to be able to use the perfect Susanoo. It's just stupid, So, overall, that's just that. We can kind of leave it there. And that'll basically do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this video really gave you a lot of information about the character. I hope this, really enlightened a lot of people to kind of open their eyes and realize how much of a threat Itachi is. You know what I mean? And how broken he is. You know what I mean? Like, Itachi could be able to fight basically almost anyone and basically pull a W if he really wanted to. You know what I mean? I do strongly believe in that and agree. You know what I mean? Even if it's Minato, or Obito, whatever, whoever the case. Now, Pain is the one character, the only character that I do feel like he would more than likely lose. And, you know what I mean? Now, could Itachi win? Potentially, yes. But I just feel like it's way more stronger in Pain's favor. And that he could basically be able to counter anything really Itachi throws at him. You know what I mean? And the only way I could see maybe Itachi pulling a W is basically if, what's it called? If he did like Tsukiyomi, you know what I mean? But then again, it's the Rinnegan. It's like, do you really think Tsukiyomi would be able to beat the Rinnegan? Because the Rinnegan's the next stage in evolution. So could it just, just not be affected or suppressed or, or whatever, you know what I mean? Or just, whatever. But if you don't think that and you do think he would be put in Genjutsu because Sage Mode Genjutsu worked on the Rinnegan. So, you know what I mean? Like, and then the frogs are even telling him, like, well, if nothing else is working, why don't you try Genjutsu? So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying? So, meaning that you could imply that Tsukiyomi would work, and as a Tsukiyomi would work, and it's casting Genjutsu, okay, then it goes as far as to, like, would it affect the actual user that's controlling them? And this is where it gets interesting because, when Jiraiya casted the Genjutsu on the Passive Pains, then it comes to the thing where it's like, was it affecting just the Passive Pains, or was it affecting Nagato as well at the same time? And me really thinking about it, mind you, I'm a Pain Tard or a Nagato Tard. I like to give Nagato as much credit as much as possible. But if you really think about it, and mind you, this is not a concrete answer. I would have to look more into Nagato and whatnot and review a lot of things. But I do believe that if whatever happens to the Passive Pains, especially if it's Genjutsu, would connect to Nagato. Because remember, he's controlling them through chakra, and those chakra receivers are connected to him. And so meaning if the Genjutsu affects them, it's going to affect Nagato as well. If you catch my drift. So meaning if Itachi can use and land Tsukiyomi, then Nagato is fucked. He's dead, and he loses. You know what I mean? Like, he would only have to cast it on one of the pains, and GG. That's it. So that is a win con. And then overall, if you think Itachi Susanoo with the Yatamir and the Totsuka Blade could be able to basically body Nagato in the Passive Pains or whatever, then that would be a W. But I kind of have my contentions against that because, with Shinra Tensei consisting of all 5 chakra natures and it can basically negate anything. So then it becomes like, what wins, the Yatamir or Shinra Tensei? Like, there's just so much into it. I'm not really going to get into it. If you guys really want more info and thoughts of when it comes to Itachi fighting against Pain and Nagato, there's actually a reaction video that I did of Itachi versus Nagato with Anime World and kind of my thoughts and everything and etc. But that's just me. But either way, we're going to be ending it here. I'll make sure to put that video in the description if you guys want to check that out. But those are my thoughts overall. And also, this is might piss a lot of other people off as well. Itachi would fucking smack Obito. Eventually, I will explain why and have like a very short, brief video on Itachi slapping him. And it'd just be that. It'd be very simple. I'll provide all the scans and the statements and even the narrative aspects and all the things that Itachi could do to easily pull a W. And he could be able to beat him. It's not fucking hard. But overall, the only characters that I feel like it can get a little iffy of who Itachi could be able to beat would be like either Madara or Hashirama. Come on, we know how powerful they are. Could Itachi be able to pull it off? Potentially, maybe. It's fucking Itachi at the end of the goddamn day, and his Susanoo is literally fucking broken as shit. So I don't see why not. And then especially if he does use Tsukiyomi on Hashirama or Madara, they're fucked. So other than that, that's basically going to be it. Itachi's pretty goated. I hope you guys enjoy the video. As always, like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next video. Peace.